Well, I think you've got to get the mix right. I mean, firstly, it's boxing. It's two blokes having a fight. So we've got to remember that. And then we've got to remember that it is a sport. There's a code of conduct to follow. There are broadcasters, there are sponsors. But then you also go back to the fact that it's boxing and it's fighting. So when you've got two blokes who are 15, 16 stone, mouthing off to each other about how they're going to knock the other one out, every now and again, it's going to get a little bit heated. And anyone that thinks that it's not is an idiot. And sometimes you just have to deal with it. I mean, that was, I would still say, that was handbags. Really? I mean, like, it was like over in 1.5 seconds. Everything was dealt with. The Dillian White, Derek Chisora one the other week was triple X rated. I mean, this was pussycats in comparison. So every now and again you get that. It's difficult because as a promoter, when you get that, it sells even more. And when you get two guys showing people respect, it doesn't sell as much. But it is good to see. But it doesn't sell as much. But it is good to see. But it just doesn't sell as much. So you understand what I'm saying? David Haye is a control freak. So the fact that he tried to get Tony Bellew to do this deal without me shows you what he's all about. He wants to be in control of the situation. Now he's not in control of the situation. He went round all the other promoters, all the other broadcasters, hoarded himself out everywhere, and came back full circle to us. So that's a good sign for other fighters that knows that David Haye exhausted all options to find out what was the best move. And it turned out the best move was us and Sky. So we got the fight, we delivered the fight, and unfortunately, the reason he don't like us is because we won't pander to his little needs of, you've got to be sitting down at the press conference first, before we walk into the room. No, we don't let people just walk over us like that. We stick up for ourselves and we do good business. So, we're happy with the deal. All the things that were important to him beyond the financial negotiations weren't important to us. He says, oh, you wanted your name first. But no, I'm a promoter. Haymaker is not a promoter. It's not a licensed, registered promoter with a British Boxing Board of Control. Therefore, I have to be the promoter. And he's lucky I am the promoter because he's going to make a lot of money. And it was good fun. You need that. My social media's going mad about everyone's talking about it. That's what you want. It doesn't matter. I don't mind who's being attacked or confronted as long as people are talking about it. It's standard. It's every fight where you're dealing with an ego. It's who's going to walk first, who gets what changing room, who gets what corner, the thickness of the canvas, what gloves are used, all these kind of things. And all these things didn't mean a row of beans to Tony Bellew. So the only thing we kicked back on was the split, the financials of the show. And once that was dealt with, everything else we weren't bothered about. As long as we got the right deal, we were ready to fight. Tony Bellew was ready to fight. So the other things, Tony don't care if he walks first, second, or just comes to no music or has to do a handstand before he gets in the ring. It's irrelevant. Once the deal's right, the other bits are irrelevant. It's just a fight. And that's where it's an actual joy to deal with Tony Bellew. No, he won't be on the card because the only person that gets to stick through putting on a one-sided fight is me. And sometimes in boxing you have to because you're developing fighters. Fighters only want to take certain fights. But Eubank wants an easy run out for a lot of money on December 10. So when he goes on there and knocks someone out in the first round and everyone says that was a mismatch, he don't get the stick, I do. So yeah, we'll put him in a real fight. But when he's ready, when he's back from injury, and that could be January, February, let's do it properly. Everything's all rush. Put me on in 2.5 weeks. You've been injured. Why not set a real plan? And that's because they don't know what they're doing. And I think the son, I feel sorry for Junior. I think he wants to reach out and do something and make some right decisions. But he's handcuffed, and he's not able to make the decisions that I think would benefit his career. We had a deal with him at the time, but he asked us to deliver a fight on all the terms he knew would be delivered. We delivered that fight on all the terms that were promised, and then they wanted operational control of a show. And it goes down to the likes of David Haye as well. I'm the promoter, so I know what I'm doing. I don't fight because I'm not a fighter. So I promote the show. I make the best decisions commercially. They wanted to make a lot of those decisions they knew nothing about, decisions that would have affected the show, decisions that would have affected the operation of the show, my image, Matchroom's image as well, and I wasn't prepared to do that. They can own the show, the financials of the show, and that's where the fallout came, really. And I said to them, you're going to lose the fight. No, you know, I said, you've got till 6 p.m. tomorroor. They chose not to take the fight, and they haven't boxed since. Lomachenko is probably pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, but what is he, 6-1, and he's a 2-weight world champion. They haven't built him, in my opinion. You can't build a fighter over 7 fights and educate the fans and the audience about how good this guy is. So when we was in Las Vegas recently and they were introducing all the fighters ringside, he was the one who got the smallest applause, but he was probably the most talented fighter there. And that's just called building a fighter, profile, educating the audience. And they haven't been able to do that with Lomachenko because he's only had 7 fights. He's brilliant, brilliant fighter. But outside of boxing, how many people know about Lomachenko? Inside of boxing, he's God. But that's not good enough to hit the numbers and get the purses and hit the pay-per-view digits that you require.